Welcome, everybody, to Mahalo, the podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jagarjian, live from the NYC studios here, and you guessed it, New York City. What are we going to talk about today? What are we going to talk about? I have a couple of things that are going to be controversial. Buckle your little seatbelts. If you're in a car, buckle them up. If you're in a monorail, hold on tight to the handrails and stand clear of the closing doors. That's right, folks. Stand clear of the closing doors. We're coming in hot with some New York hot takes. Tss, tss, hot takes from New York. So the things I wanted to talk about today are maybe the number one question I get about living in New York City is, in the last years, how are things in New York? Tell me, how are things in New York? How are things going in New York? That's probably the number one question I get now, because understandably so, this was the Wuhan of the West for a long time. We were the Wuhan of America for last March, April, May. It's gonna be May. It's gonna be May. We were the Wuhan of the West. So a lot of people are still wondering what's going on in New York. We've gotten a lot of good news of the last week. They say they're going to have a full reopening here in New York City. It's going to be the summer of New York, Mayor de Blasio says, on July 1st, which we got a long way to go. I walked home last night from Grand Central Station. It's about 9 blocks, and there were a lot of zombies out at like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, this is going to be the summer of New York. Yeah, I don't know. I'm dodging street corner to street corner because some of the folks who are out late at night, because there's a curfew for restaurants if you're past 11 or 12 o'clock, the folks that are roaming around New York City, let's just say, could murder you, could take you out. Like there was people like they I don't know how to describe it, but scary, very scary. Very much like The Walking Dead. So the summer of New York, we got some work to do, Mayor de Blasio, but let's go, fingers crossed. That's the first thing I hear. What's going on in New York, people say. The second thing people say, and the question I get the most, which we're going to talk about today, is, what's your favorite pizza place? What's the best pizza in New York, people ask. And that's a very controversial question. And so for some people, they can't really, they don't even want to talk about the subject because they don't want to be ridiculed. And I'm going straight ahead and I'm taking this thing straight on. What is the best pizza in New York? I've lived here for a while. I have a list and I'm going to share it with you. If you don't live in New York City, then you're gonna come travel here during the summer of New York, and you're gonna ask me this question, and then I'm gonna revert you back to this. What is the best pizza in New York City? People say. I've broken it down into multiple categories because pizza in New York, which is the same in most places, has different vibes. Pizza doesn't come in one shape or form. Most of the country, when you talk about the best pizza, is like Domino's or Pizza Hut's. It's Domino's or Hungry Howie's. Domino's or Domino's. Some places only have a Domino's. And don't get me wrong, I have no issues with the boys in blue. I have no issues with Domino's. To be honest, I have a rewards card for Domino's and I frequent the establishment. For me, there's not much better than a thin crust Domino's pepperoni on a Sunday afternoon. So don't think that I'm coming from this place that I'm too good for Domino's. Not the case. I think the boys in blue are doing a wonderful service for the pizza community. But there are far better pizza options in New York. We all know this. So if Domino's is what you have available, then enjoy your pizza. I think they've made big strides at Domino's. You remember a few years ago when they said they're taking a step back to look at their recipes. Domino's CEO had a big a commercial. He said, we're taking a step back and we're looking at our recipes. I'm like, you're just doing this now? They said, we're changing up the sauces. They're making it more robust. Now, I think that's the word they said. They said, we're making a more robust sauce. I said, go for it. Then they said, we're going to start doing a flavored crust. And the people over at Hungry Howie's were saying, dude, we've been doing this for fucking years, dude. You're not changing the game at all. But Domino's, that's what they did. They started brushing the crust with this butter herb thing. It's wonderful. If you don't know anything about Hungry Howie's big gimmick is that they have the flavored crust. So you can order a cheese pizza and you can have a garlic jalapeno crust and they put this dust on it. Wonderful. Oh, I love a Hungry Howie's. Very underrated. You go to Pizza Hut, their whole gimmick is cheese stuffed crusts. And I think that those commercials are very misleading. Don't even get me going on a stuffed crust. Because in the commercial, what do? They pull apart the crust and they get a crazy cheese pull and you're thinking that cheese tastes good. That's the way my cheesy crust is going to be. But in my experience, the cheesy crust that you get actually is, there's just a mozzarella blob in there. You don't get any cheese pull. You get no cheese pull. It's not like a mozzarella stick in there. And you can call me out on it. You think I'm wrong about the cheese pull in your Pizza Hut stuffed crust? Call me out on it. Call me wrong. But I don't think I am. Same thing goes for anything at Taco Bell when they're like breaking tacos and the cheese is spreading apart. I've never had a taco like this. I even fell into it. I fell into the trap of like they had the stuffed Gorgita fucking whatever crusty thing, and they break the taco in half, and it's like the cheese is gonna pull from coast to coast. And I went and got it, and it was just firm, hard cheese in there. There was no cheese pull. There should be a cheese pull police. If you're gonna go out there and tell us that we're gonna have a cheese pull in our stuffed crust or Gorgita crunches, quesaritos, then there better be a cheese pull. This is misleading information. Very disappointed with cheese pull advertising, but that's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there for this conversation. My point being is that you're not going to be able to enjoy a lot of these pizza places that I'm going to recommend unless you're in New York City. But if you're not in New York City, I say go Domino's. I think Domino's is the best delivery nationwide place. Pizza Hut, I'm not a huge fan of the Pizza Hut. Not a huge fan of the Pizza Hut. I think it's okay, but it doesn't even compete with the Boys in Blue. And Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. No one is falling for this. No one thinks you're putting better ingredients in your pizzas, Papa John. No one really believes you're out there in the garden picking vine-ripened tomatoes and you have organic Whole Foods fucking vegetables in your pizza, Papa John. No, you're not doing any of that stuff. It all comes out of a can like Domino's and any other place. You don't have better ingredients. Everything comes out of a tube. That's like Subway, Eat Fresh. None of your stuff is fresh. You're not roasting turkeys back there. Everything it's frozen meats. Maybe you have some fresh vegetables. Ooh, but it probably comes already pre-chopped. False advertising. Better ingredients, better pizza. Fuck you. Aggressive. But the one thing I do like about Papa John's is they put a little peppercini in there with the garlic sauce. So they do get points for that. You get on the board. The little peppercini inside the box and the garlic sauce, that should be ubiquitous. I wish that Domino's would throw in a garlic sauce in there with their pizza. I think it's a great addition, so they get points for that. But, if you go slice for slice, Domino's way over Papa John's any day of the week. Any day of the week. I would take 100 Hungry Howie's over that. So now we go into our New York City pizza. If I could do a drum roll, I would do it. So let's work backwards. So I think the pinnacle of New York City pizza is going to be the best slice. Here are the four different categories of New York City pizza. We're going to have best dollar slice, best whole pie, best date pizza. Okay, that's going to be a category for me. And then best slice. Those are going to be the 4 categories of New York City pizza. So you can drum roll if you'd like at home, or don't. I don't care. Okay, we're going to start with the best dollar slice. In New York City, there is a lot of dollar pizza available. I'd say every neighborhood has a dollar slice pizza place. And generally speaking, they're not that good. I'd say the dollar slice is like if you're drunk only, go to a dollar slice place. Typically, it's like undercooked. Somehow it's just across the board. If you get a dollar slice, it's like too doughy. They never like finish it right. The cheese is like they use the cheapest cheese possible, obviously, so it like never melts correctly. It's the closest comparison is like 7-Eleven pizza for most of it. It's great if you're drunk, but skip it if you're not. That said, there are a few places in New York that do a nice dollar slice. And if you're in the East Village of Manhattan, the best dollar slice that is available is Vinnie Vincenz on 13th, or what is that? Vinnie Vincenz is on 14th Street, 1st Avenue. Vinnie Vincenz, best dollar slice. It is the perfect New York City crust. They got a good cheese situation in there, friendly local staff, but like in a New York City way. It's kind of like, hey, what you want, guy? Hey, what can I get for you? Which is great. I appreciate that. And it feels like you're at a regular pizzeria. Some of these dollar slice places, it looks like they just opened last week and they might be out the week after. They look very temporary. Vinnie Vincenz is a mainstay in the neighborhood. Is that a word, mainstay? Something like that. It's great. I lived off of Vinnie Vincenz slices for a long time. I call them Vinnie Vincenzos. I don't think that's the actual name. Best dollar slice for me in New York City is Vinnie Vincenz, 14th Street, 1st Avenue. Now they have another category of best whole pizza. These are pizzerias that don't serve by the slice. It is a thing. So you have to eat these either in the restaurante or you have to get them to go and you have to get the whole pie pizzerias. So my favorite whole pie pizzeria that does not have a slice option would be John's of Bleecker. So John's of Bleecker, it's in the West Village. It's a great place to go with friends. It's been around for a jillion years. It's coal-fired pizza, coal oven-fired pizza. There's a rumor somewhere that like they are grandfathered in and you can't do coal-fired pizza anywhere else in Manhattan. I don't know if that's true or not because I think they say it's a fire hazard. I don't know. I don't even know if I believe that. But the John's of Bleecker, they have etchings and carvings into the seats. Lots of history. It's a celeb hotspot. I don't think you can go wrong. And to be more specific, the best whole pie you can get there is the sausage, peppers, and onions. There's something, they have a proprietary sausage that they use there that it's hard to describe, but it's like very meaty and very delicious. So if you're going to go to John's of Bleecker, make sure you get the sausage. Tell them Jiggy sent you. They won't know me. Best whole pie for me, John's of Bleecker. Again, that is West Village, and I don't know the cross streets, but it is delicious. And they also put a nice char. That coal-fired oven puts a nice char on the pizza, which I appreciate. That's like the antithesis of the dollar slice, which has the anti-char. But the whole pie of John's of Bleecker got a nice char on the pizza, and it comes out that nice kind of like almost burnt, but in a good way type of way. John's of Bleecker, best whole pie. Now we're going to go to best date pizza. So this is a category that usually falls into, candlelit dining room, a place that you could take a girl. Maybe they have some nice apps. It's table service. It's delicious. It's fun. So date night pizza in a lot of the country is like, maybe we'll go to, what's like a date night pizza? Like Mellow Mushroom or gosh, I don't even know. Well, they're popping up more like these casual dining pizzerias where you go in, you have pizza, and it's kind of like a date night thing. In New York, there's a lot of these places, and for the most part, they're like the what are they called? The Napolitana pizzas. Like they're kind of like craftsman pizzas. That's what I would picture like a date night. A little fancier than your John's of Bleecker. John's of Bleecker is like buddy spot. You go and you have a couple beers, you have a great pizza, but maybe not a date spot unless you have a girl who's hip to that. A date night pizza would be something that's like candlelit, great vibes. You have service. You can have a tiramisu after, what have you. And for me, hands down, the best date night pizza in Manhattan, in New York City, maybe the best I've ever had, is Motorino. And Motorino has multiple locations. They have one in Williamsburg, one in the East Village of Manhattan, and one in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And to me, it is hands down the best pizzeria for date night. And these are the Italian, small little Italian pizzas. I think they call them Pizzeria Napolitanas. You know, they're based in they're kind of like burnt sort of at the top. They're wood fired, cooked quick. And specifically, the best pizza that Motorino has is the hot sopressata pizza. And the owner sources these hot chili peppers or Chinese hot chili peppers that he gets from Chinatown that they're delicious. I don't know how else to say. The sopressata is delicious, but then he puts these little chilies that he gets from Chinatown that are sliced very thinly on top of the pizza. It's charred, it's cheesy, it's fucking delicious. And the place has great appetizers and a wonderful tiramisu. And it's candlelit, it's kind of quick serve, it's kind of romantic. It's one of my best places to have a glass or two of wine or a bottle of wine and sit down and have a delicious pizza. No doubt about it, Motorino in New York City is hands down my favorite date night pizza. Stamp it, put it in the books. Now we get to the number one category, which people always ask, what is your best slice in New York? And it's a little bit cliche, and it's cliche for a reason because it's the best. Hands down, seek it out. The best slice in New York City. If you're looking for a New York City experience, a New York City slice on a plate, quick serve, have your cash fucking ready because it's cash only. It's bing, bang, boom. You get the guy, the line out the door, late night, afternoon, no matter what it is, it's always busy because it's always good, is Joe's Pizza. Don't let anyone tell you it's not the bomb. It is the bomb. People will try to steer you into all these different weird, edgy directions. Listen, if you want a New York City slice, you came in, you flew in a plane from Oklahoma, and you want the New York City pizza experience, don't let anyone tell you different. It's Joe's Pizza. It's Joe's Pizza in the West Village. They got a couple other locations, but seek out the one in the West Village. I think that's the OG, and it's delicious. When you look at even the Ninja Turtles eating pizza, they were probably eating Joe's. When you think of anyone eating a New York slice, that cheesy, delicious, perfect slice, it's Joe's. And for me, the pepperoni slice at Joe's is the pinnacle of pizza perfection on a plate. In and out, $3, walking down the street, throw it out on the side of the road. Pizza, Joe's fucking Pizza. Keep the F-bomb in it. That's where you need to go. So there you go. Those are my top favorite pizzerias in New York City. I stand by these. They are places that I frequent and I can stand by them. Best Dollar Slice, Vinnie Vincenz, East Village. Best Whole Pie, John's of Bleecker in the West Village. Best Date Night Pizza is Motorino, multiple locations. And Best Slice is Joe's. Go to the West Village for the OG location. There you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Mahalo on another episode. We'll be back next week with more fun, more games. And that's it. Mahalo. Deuces. Out.